The fire road, gravel track, double track, call it what you will, has been the go-to place for MTB climbing ever since the sport began. It's a place for gentle reflection, chatting to your mates, and on an eMTB, generally getting bored to tears. A single track, on the other hand, is one of ever-changing gradients, surfaces, and technicality. It's where deers dig their hooves in, it's where tyres lose their traction. It's a place where heart rates soar. And it's definitely a place where the eMTB roams. So, eMTBs and heart rate, they're not often spoken in the same sentence. But today, I'm going to be introducing you to some simple ways at looking at just how much effort you put into your eMTB ride, and some tools which will help you with your skills, your fitness, and also your attention to the trail. Time now then to get some facts on the ground. So we've got the same starting and end points on the same hill, obviously, but we're going to use two methods to get to the top: the gravel track versus the single track. So we'll be looking at such things as the technicality, the fun factor, but most of all, the workout and the heart rate. Now, I often get a load of abuse on the channel for these roads because I call them fire roads. I don't know why I call them fire roads. I think that's all I've ever known them as, but you can call them gravel tracks or double tracks or I don't know, but whatever. They are the primary route for extraction lorries, moving timber. They're used for tractors, emergency vehicles, and generally used by mountain bike riders as a simple and traffic-free way to get to the top of the hill and, as I mentioned, chat with your mates. Okay, so we're going to begin with the gravel track. Now, it's really important to understand that a gravel track still can be a workout. It's just your mindset that needs to attack the hill. So the gravel track's ahead of me and the beautiful single track's behind me, which I'll do in a minute. So I've done a warm-up, I'm good to go. So here we go then. Let's start off with 10 minutes of monotony. Now I spend a huge amount of time on these gravel tracks because on a gravel bike, I think they're just so much safer than on tarmac roads, and they're actually really good fun. But on an e-bike, your body position isn't being forced forwards or rearwards. You're spinning at the same rate, and that's another thing. You can for sure have a workout on a gravel track, but I think there's a certain rhythm to them, which means you don't really get into the red as often as you do on a single track, that's for sure. Oh, don't get me wrong, still a workout, but I think I've done my fair share of gravel track, fire track riding. It's just so dull, it's just so dull. Yeah, they're great. They're great ways to ride a mountain bike to the top of the hill, but on an e-mountain bike, I fully believe that those days are done. But I guess some people will say if you're new to mountain biking, then it's a great way of getting into the countryside. But I think certain riders will definitely prefer the harder route. I want to introduce you now to this little nugget. It's my watch. It's actually a Garmin watch and what we use on the channel. You can get other makes and models on the market, but importantly, it actually tells me the time of day and other things, of course, such as the route, the time taken, my calories used, but more importantly, it tells me my heart rate. No, don't be scared. I'm not going to go into the fine detail. If you want to do that, you can go to our sister channels of GTN and GCN because they're mad for it. Now, my watch is actually connected to my phone, and on my phone, I've got the Garmin Connect app. And I want to talk about two really cool features on it, which are very important for what we're talking about today. Now, the heat map is a really cool feature. Not only does it track your ride, but also it looks at your heart rate in very fine detail. So in simple terms, you've got grey and blue, which are low heart rates, before you go into green, orange and red, the traffic light zone, where you're really getting a good working over. The app also allows you to look at the time you spend in each heart rate zone. Now, this is good, particularly for longer rides. Two examples here. One is our recent Dartmoor ride, so you can see long periods in the lower heart rate zone. And then this one, which shows a huge amount of time which I spent in the red. Now this, on the other hand, is a Singletrack. It's a custom-made one, which I've done. It has its own uphill flow and a level of technicality and engagement, which is simply so much more than those, yeah, I'm gonna say it, fire roads. And I guess the clue is in the name. Fire roads, gravel roads. I mean, it's a road, it's a mountain bike thing, but it's certainly not an e-mountain bike way of getting to the top. There she is. As you can see, it's all action from the very start. So catch you at the top. Now, the thing with Singletrack is you're constantly dealing with the surface conditions, the roots, the rocks, and also the gradients, which change constantly. Okay, so slightly, you can already see that was slightly longer than on the gravel track, but time now to connect this up with my Garmin Connect, have a peppermint tea and a sausage roll, and have a look at the data. Okay, so I've now got back, got into the app. This is my ride, so it was 10 minutes. So the heat map actually shows that, first of all, it shows the slower and faster speeds on the climb. But this is the cool piece. You click on the top left there and you go to heart rate, click it off. So this now shows the lower heart rates and the higher heart rates. So you can see a lot of the time on that fire track was spent in the blue and also in the green, which is actually quite low heart rate. It does go into the orange near the top there, but that's primarily because it did get a bit steeper. Now, if you go back out of that and click in this section, it'll show you the actual time you spent, or I spent, in each heart rate zone. So 4 minutes 26 in zone 2, and then 3 minutes and 2 minutes in the zone 3 and 4. So let's compare that now to the time spent in heart rate on the Singletrack. So to the Singletrack, and okay, so a lot of the route seems to be in the green zone, but there's a lot of those punchy little climbs in there which are reds and oranges. So I want to look at the actual time spent in the heart rate zones. Wow, so as you can see, hardly any time in the blue. Most of the time was in green, but the key part is 5.5 minutes of my workout was actually in zone 4 and zone 5, the highest heart rate zone. So even on a 10-minute climb, half that time was a significant workout on the bike. So I think it shows that on an e-mountain bike, a Singletrack, it's not only is it more engaging, but it's a full body workout, and like those punchy climbs, the different routes, which, you know, you're wrestling with the bike on, you've got the traction, you've got the different body positions, forwards and rearwards. So it actually teaches you really, really good skills on a bike, so it's a lot more engaging. So on a fire road, yes, I did say that word again, you can actually have a workout. It's simply, as I mentioned earlier, it's in your mindset. So you really need to gun it hard, or alternatively, just stick that bike in eco and that'll probably do the job. But as I mentioned, a single track, it's more engaging, it's way more fun, it teaches you great skills, and as I mentioned, it certainly gives you a way bigger heart rate ride than you do on the gravel track.